Hi guys, I'm Harper. Should we clap? If you're a budding soloist, or if you're an advancing rhythm guitar player like myself, then you might be interested in a little thing called the 7 modes. Now, what are the 7 modes? Well, they're sort of the precursor to scales. If you're playing with another guitar player or a band, a keyboard, and so forth, and they're playing a particular chord sequence, then these 7 modes can actually help you figure out what notes to play within that chordal sequence. For example, if a piano player or another guitar player is playing a G chord, then you as a soloist could play the G Ionian mode, also known as the G major scale. And you can make up a melody line using those notes, and it all begins from there. So speaking of the G major chord, let's start with that one. G Ionian mode, also known as the G major scale. So those are the same thing. Now, on a side note, the really cool thing about the modes is when you learn one, you've actually learned many. And I'll explain what that means in just a second. So I begin here on the 3rd fret of the 6th string with my 2nd finger or my middle finger. And I begin as 3, 5, the 3rd fret and the 5th fret of the 6th string. And then my next numbers are 2, 3, 5 of the 5th string, 2, 4, 5 of the 4th string, again, 2, 4, 5 of the 3rd string, 3, 5 of the 2nd string, and 2, 3 of the 1st string. You'll notice as I'm ascending on the scale or on the mode that I leave my fingers on the string when I've placed them on, and I only take them off when I'm moving on to the next string. Let me show you what I mean. So see how both fingers remain on the string? You want to keep that on there, and the reason why is you want to limit the amount of movement you're doing at any given time in music and in guitar. The next string, which is 2, 3, 5, notice I keep all my fingers on there after I've played them. The reversal, you want to prepare for the descending mode, which looks like this. So if I'm going backwards, if I'm going down the mode or down the scale, I want to prepare my fingers before I actually play. So on the 1st string, I know I'm going to use the frets 3 and 2. So I put down my fingers to prepare. 3, 2. And then here on the 2nd string, I'm 5 and 3. So I put my fingers on the string before I play because that actually eliminates movement. Instead of putting one finger at a time as you're playing through the scale, you're actually increasing your movements and slowing down. I played a wrong note there. So the whole mode is going to look like this. And that's the G Ionian mode. Now, like I said before, the cool thing about these modes that I'm going to show you is that they're modulatable. What I mean by that is this. Now that you know how to play the G Ionian mode or G major scale, you can just take the exact same formula and shift it up by 1 fret, and you're playing now the G sharp Ionian mode. Pretty cool. Shift up 1 more fret and you have A Ionian or A major, and so on and so forth. There you go. You've learned one, but now you've learned many. We've talked a little bit about the left hand in reference to playing first the G Ionian mode. What's going to be important is over here what's happening in your right hand, and it's going to be these two guys here, I and M, or index and middle finger. When I'm playing those modes, I'm rotating between the I and the M on the string. So they're constantly taking turns. So look here at my fingers. I'm going to begin with I. And if I've done my math correctly, I will end with I. There you go. So when you're practicing these modes, it's very important to get used to starting on I and ending on I, but then switching it around, starting with M and ending with M. So always be aware that when you're playing, who's starting and who's finishing. That way you get the most dexterity out of your right hand. All right, let's move on to the next mode, Dorian. So say somebody is playing an A minor chord. In this particular example, you could play either a Phrygian, a Dorian, or a Aeolian. Not Aeolian. Cool. So I'm going to show you a Dorian right now. We're going to begin here on the 5th fret of the 6th string, and we're going to go 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9 again, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, and 5. All together. And there's A, Dorian. Now, anywhere you start, if you start on G sharp and you do the same pattern, like I said before, you have G sharp, Dorian. Start on G, do the same pattern, you have G, Dorian. Keep that in mind that if somebody is playing an A minor chord, then you as a soloist could then effectively use the A Dorian mode to solo around that chord. Pretty cool, huh? So now we're going to go to my favorite mode of all time, which is the Phrygian mode. I'm going to start here on B on the 7th fret of the 6th string. Check it out. 7, 8, 10, and the next string, 7, 9, 10. Repeat on the next string the same thing, 7, 9, 10, and then we're going to go to 7, 9. Now we go to the next string, 7, 8, 10, and finally we end on 7 on the 1st string. So let's put that together. And descending. There you go. That would be considered the B Phrygian mode. Great for a B minor chord, for example. Again, anywhere you place it, if you begin here on F, then you have F Phrygian if you use the same pattern. And so on and so forth. So now let's move on to the Lydian mode. So the Lydian mode is pretty popularized by the Simpsons theme song because it has the 1, the raised 4th, and the 5th. The Simpsons. For this example, I'm going to show you G Lydian. So again, we start on G. It's very similar to the major or Ionian mode, but it's got just a 1-note difference. So we're going to go 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. You hear that 4th raised? So again, I'm going to start back over. 3, 5, 2, 4. That's the Lydian note right there. 5. And then the next string, same thing. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4. And then 2, 3, 5. And then 2, 3. So there's G Lydian. So let's go through it again. And descending. So again, with Lydian, it's anytime somebody's playing a major chord. It could be a G major chord, and you've got 3 options basically for soloing. You can either do a Lydian, Mixolydian, or Ionian mode. Now let's move on to Mixolydian because I just brought that up and you don't know what that is yet. Let's do an A Mixolydian mode. This one's a bit of a stretch, so check it out. We're going to start here on A, which is our 5th fret on the 6th string. And notice I already have my fingers stretched out in preparation for what I'm going to do. It's a bit of a stretch, so keep your thumb down over here so that you're able to stretch those notes. With Mixolydian, we begin 5, 7, 9, again, 5, 7, 9, again, 5, 7, 9, and now 6, 7, go on to the next string, 5, 7, 8, and then just 5. And there's your A Mixolydian mode. Very similar to major with 1 note different, being the 7th note is actually lowered a half step. So it sounds like this all put together. descending. Stretch those fingers to really get it out. There's your A Mixolydian mode. So again, if anybody plays a major chord, you could either play Mixolydian, Lydian, or Ionian. Next one you are quite familiar with, but perhaps don't know. And this is called the Aeolian mode, also known as the minor scale. So for this one, we're going to do A again. So this is the Aeolian or minor mode. So we're going to go 5, 7, 8. Again, 5, 7, 8. And now here's a stretcher. 5, 7, 9. And then just 2 notes here. 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, and end on 5. So let's put it all together. And descending. So Aeolian is great for anybody who's playing a minor chord. Somebody plays A minor, you can play an Aeolian mode. Somebody plays D minor, you can play a D Aeolian mode, and so on and so forth. One more, Locrian. This is the darkest of all modes. It's like doing a major scale but starting from the 7th note. Let's do a B Locrian mode. It looks like this. We're going to start on B, which is the 7th fret, 6th string, and we're going to go 7, 8, 10, and repeat. 7, 8, 10. Now we're going to go 7, 9, 10. Repeat that as well. 7, 9, 10. And then we're going to go 8, 10, and then 7. Okay, let's put that all together. And descending. And that's the B Locrian mode. Locrian is pretty much a very unique mode. And one of the first instances you'll find you're using it is anytime somebody is doing a half diminished or a diminished chord. Those Locrian modes work great. But we'll get into diminished chords another day, and half diminished chords as well. Thanks for listening to my video. Click over here, this guy, to subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Notice how I'm wincing as I'm missing notes.